Alright, I wanted to make this video because the first time I got on this bike, the entire TFT screen and cluster menu everywhere on the handlebars was just alien to me. But it turns out that it actually is pretty intuitive once you spend 30 minutes playing with it. So let's get into it. Alright, we'll go through the TFT functions first. Press up here, press the little clock, and then you've got your main menu. Riding information takes you back to your dash. Phone, if you've got it paired up, takes you to calling people. Phone functions. Media, it's basically a built-in media player. I haven't found it very useful, just use the apps on your phone. And then settings, that's where it's all at. Okay, function. User modes. You've got two user-defined modes. Here you can set the bike up any way you want to. A little trick, Easter egg, sense of humor by the Honda engineers. Power, that's the amount of engine power that the bike makes available to you. 1 would be the highest amount of engine power, yeah? 4 would be the least. Now, when you move down through the rest of the menus, engine braking, 3, it's exactly the opposite. 3 would be the most amount of engine power, while 1 would be the least amount of engine braking, sorry. Same goes for traction control, so just remember, 1 would be your most amount of engine power. Then you've got some suspension settings, damping, preload, both for the front and the back, ABS, and still sticking with suspension. These are your different settings for whether you're riding alone, just with the rider and cargo, rider and passenger, and all three together. So you can set these up, and then on your main screen, let's go back to that for a little while. Riding information. On your main screen, you've got your preload here again, just for the rider with passenger, rider with passenger and luggage. Auto cancel turn signal, self-explanatory. Hiss indicator, that is the little red light that comes up, the little red security light that comes up on the bottom screen here. You can turn that off or on. Why you would want to do that? Well, I don't know. Maybe you would. No judging here. All right, display mode. Honda's got 3 different riding modes. So let's say for user 1, you don't want all of this Christmas tree info here. You can pretty much go left and right and choose 3 different layouts that you're most familiar with. Honda calls them bronze, gold, and silver, from the least amount of info on it to the most amount of info on it. So if you want user 1 to look like this, pretty basic, you leave it, you choose this one, and then you go back, and then user 1. Let's go to user 1. We'll have the layout that you'd picked in the settings. All right, sticking with display, 2 more things here. Favorite information. This is for display level gold, I think it is, the one with the most amount of info on it. You've got a couple of tabs here, and for each one of these tabs, you can choose what you want displayed on it. Yeah. So tab number 1, you've got trip computer, consumption, average consumption. Let's say you don't want trip A. You want to go with average speed again. So now when you go to this sort of layout, your average speed will be displayed on tab number 1 on all of the riding modes that you've got this layout on. So highly customizable. Favorite switch. There is a physical favorite switch on here, and you can set that up to traction control, wheelie control, G switch. Set it to traction control or wheelie control, and then you can pull a wheelie quicker. And then in general, you've got general bike stuff. This is pretty self-explanatory, date, time, units, volume. All right, going back to the main rider info. This is their main info packed screen. So here you've got 4 tabs, which show you exactly what you assigned for it to show you in the settings. On number 4, you've got some options that you can pick. Starting from the bottom up, G would be your G switch. That was a physical switch up until now, but now it's just active or cancelled. What G does, it's on the DCT models, and it basically takes all the lag out of changing gears for off-road riding. For when you need instant power, there is no more lag when the bike changes gears, something which for the road riding modes was introduced artificially by Honda because it just felt more natural, like a few milliseconds of lag in between changing gears. But the G switch just takes that off. Preload, you've got 3 different choices here. 4 different choices actually here. The bike's moving now. This takes all the values that you set back in the settings screen and applies them here. So we're gonna go back to 1 helmet. W, that's your wheelie control. I wish they would have written wheelie. I mean, they've got the space there. You set that from 1 to 3. HSTC, that is Honda's traction control, that's from 1 to 7. 1, the least amount of traction control intervention. 7, the most amount of traction control. And your power here, you can't set it because you're on tour mode. That's set from the factory. That's on level number 1, which again means the most amount of power from the bike. All right, so that's it for the TFT. Now let's go through the instrument cluster. Let's go on the right hand side. This is the DCT model. You've obviously got your start here. This controls your gearbox. You've got neutral for the gearbox. Then you've got drive. And if you press it again, it'll go into sport mode. And if you keep pressing it, it'll go into sport 1, 2, or 3. 3 different sport modes. This is your manual or automatic switch for the gearbox, which means that if you put it in manual, you can use the flappy pedals on the left hand side. This is your cruise control. Press it once, set it up, down, pretty intuitive. Then you've also got a function switch here. What that does, let's quickly show here, it toggles between 3 different things. Heated grips, whether you want the light sensor for the main light on, or the volume. So you need your headset connected and then you can control the volume. This function switch over here is linked to this function button here. So you press it once, you've got heated grips on, and then you go up and down. And then you can set your intensity of the heated grips. Moving on to the left indicator cluster, this looks just mental. It looks, I mean, come on, look at it. But it actually does make sense. You've got an up and down button. This changes your riding modes, so you can navigate through the different riding modes while pressing them. You've got a left and right toggle. Again, this is for whatever menu you're in. You can move left and right. Like, for example, on the gold screen, the one with the most amount of info, the left and right will toggle between the different favorite tabs. Then you got a back button and an enter button. These depend on whatever type of screen you're on. Favorites button, I showed you how to set that in the settings menu. If you press it at the moment, it will change the amount of wheelie control that the bike has, which is exactly what I've set it to. Then you've got your horn over here. Underneath that, you've got your turn signals. They are, you know, I wish this button was a bit longer. Then you've got your hazard buttons. On top, you've got your passing light. And if you lift it up, you've got high beams, obviously. Next to the function button, there is another toggle switch here. This again is for you to control your phone or voice activation if you're using CarPlay while you're moving, because remember, while you're moving, the touch screen doesn't register any touches, so you have to use the cluster on the left. And then because it's a DCT model, of course, you've got a parking brake here. The bike always stops in neutral, so if you park up a hill, you need to engage this parking brake. Very easy to actually engage and disengage. Well, as I said, about half an hour, it's not that difficult. All it takes is about half an hour of playing with it, and all of this stuff, which in the beginning made no sense to me when I got on the bike, all of a sudden makes a lot of sense. So if there's anything else you want to know, anything I've missed, comment section below is the place for you. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you think you've learned something new, consider subscribing or becoming one of our Patreons to help us make more of these shows. Cheers, and I'll see you on the next one.